Right, it is time to meet tonight's guest. Please welcome Twiggy, or should we say Dame Twiggy, and Patrick Kielty. Welcome both. So great to have you both with us. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Twiggy. Very nice. Twiggy, look, you were catapulted into the limelight at just 16 years old after getting this very famous haircut. I mean, look at that. I mean, a fashion icon at 16. Patrick, similar at 16?
Definitely not. It was, I think, 16. There was, I think, Rocky IV had just come out in around that time, so it was an Ivan Drago kind of flat top hair.
The Dolph Lundgren character, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Not a look.
I mean, you know, if you're naturally blonde, you might as well run with it.
I tried and failed, Lauren. I tried and failed. So.
No, listen, we're celebrating a lot today because, Twiggy, not only is it your birthday, but you've also got a new musical based on your life. It was unveiled last night, went down an absolute storm. It's called Close Up, the Twiggy musical, and it's been written and directed by your good pal, Ben Elton, the man behind We Will Rock You, of course. But it's been 20 years in the making, this. Why was now the right time to do it?
I'm not sure 20, but probably... People have been approaching us probably for over 20 years about doing it, but they either weren't the right people or we didn't like what they were doing. And then probably about 8 years ago, Ben, who's a great mate, we were out at dinner and I think we were telling him about somebody who'd come through about doing my life. And he said, well, I should do it. And I said, really? Are you sure? And he said, yeah. And then we kind of didn't really talk about it. And then, you know, and he's always so busy, you know, and he did We Will Rock You and everything, writing his books. Yeah. But I was so honoured that he wanted to do it, because I think he's a brilliant writer. And, you know, he did Blackadder.
Yeah.
Oh!
I mean, I'm just...
An upstart crow, you know.
I'm just delighted that this is seeing the light of day, because I had him on the radio show and there was, you know, a year or two back and he was like, oh, it might be happening.
Yeah,
and
yeah. So number one, I was so honoured that he wanted to do it. And then he was meeting the Menio Chocolate Factory, which is where it's on at, which is a wonderful fringe theatre in London. And about something else, and that wasn't right for them. And they said, are you working on anything else? He said, well, I am doing this thing about Twiggy. Well, I'll do it. So that was like 18 months ago. So and now suddenly...
I mean, it's incredible.
I was at the first preview last night.
Yeah.
And cried through most of it.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Well, look, the show doesn't shy away from some of the difficulties that you faced growing up. I mean, how did you want to reflect that in the story?
Well, quite honestly, because Ben was writing it, and I think if somebody of his calibre is writing the script, you can't then go in and say, you can't do this and you've got to do that. And I probably did a little bit, but not a lot. No, it is Ben Elton's play. And it's really a play with music.
Well, and the music's fantastic, but it must be so emotional. You know, seeing your parents up on stage, your family.
Yeah, that was 5 minutes in. I started crying then when my mum and dad come on. And then, you know, through various parts of my life, because every life has wonderful things, like the things that happened to me, but they also have sad things, you know, and I had moments of wonderment happening and also, you know, relationships that didn't go right. But I don't want to give too much away, but...
yeah, I think...
Take your Kleenex!
Yeah. Now, Twiggy, on the tunes, it's a jukebox musical, so some incredible tracks in there, and, of course, plenty from the 60s, such a pivotal time for music. I mean, how did you decide what to include? What's in there?
Well, again, Ben did it. He picked... I mean, there were a couple of songs that I didn't like so much, so he had a backup. And, no, we get... I mean, he's been fabulous through the whole thing, and he's been... very gracious to me that, you know, if I was really worried or upset, it wouldn't happen. And but, you know, I keep saying it is his piece and he's worked so hard. I mean, I do a podcast called Tea with Twiggy and he's been on, but I did my first live podcast on Saturday with him. It was really scary. We had him walking. And I said to Ben, will you do it with me? And I said, if I go a bit glazed, will you... Because Ben can, you know, chat.
Ben can talk. There's definitely...
I mean, I can talk, but he can really talk.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I just laughed. He makes me laugh.
The thing is when people go and see this as well, is people do forget you were only a model for 4 years, you know, really. I mean, the other career highlights...
I was.
Wow.
The other career highlights that you were really keen to include, I mean, what would you say they were?
Well, for me, I'm the proud... I mean, that was amazing what happened to me, but it kind of happened to me. But in the 80s, which is as far as we go, really, in the play, in Close Up, I did a big musical on Broadway. And I didn't think I could do that, because to go out 8 times a week in front of 2,000 people on a Broadway stage, singing and dancing, that's scary.
No, that's proper scary, yeah.
But I had an amazing mentor in the guy who directed it and starred with me, Tommy Tune. And we did it, and it was a big hit show. It was called My One and Only. Yeah. So I'm kind of proudest of that, because I didn't think I could do that, and it was a magical time for me.
It is so fantastic, and Close Up, the Twiggy musical, opens at the Meniere Chocolat Factory in London on the 27th of September and runs until the 18th of November.
Now, we're going to be speaking to Patrick in just a moment about his new projects, but first, we're talking about the Earth Shop. Congratulations are in order. Patrick, taking over the host of the Late Late Show. I mean, what an iconic thing to take on. Now, you said that presenting it was the honour of a lifetime, but for anyone who hasn't seen it, why is it so special to Irish people in the country and beyond?
It's to Irish people and beyond. It's the longest-running talk show in the world. There's only ever been 4 hosts. In terms of the viewership for it, the whole nation just stops and watches it. I grew up watching it as a kid with my family, and when Gay Byrne...
Yeah, I did it a few... He was...
You see,
you know, it's huge.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So, I mean, Twiggy's, you know, sat in that chair. I sat on my sofa as a kid watching it, and so to be out the back, they haven't changed the theme music in 60 years.
Wow.
And there's like, when you hear
Quite
these
too.
drums going and they're calling your name instead of Gay Byrne's name, it was just crazy stuff.
Unbelievable. You performed on it, though, right, as a young comic?
Yeah. Gay Byrne gave me one of my first ever... there I go. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, talking about a lack of fashion there.
This is the post-Dolph Lundgren period.
I was growing it out. Yeah, so that would have been one of my first TV spots.
Didn't you do an impression of him?
I did an impression of Gay Byrne to Gay Byrne. Lived to tell the tale, and he was so good to me. And on Friday night show, I got a lovely card from Gay's wife and his kids, which set me off, and it was.
Well, I mean, look, the reviews have been amazing. I mean, it must have been such a relief as well. But we heard you had another reason for being nervous. Something to do with your hometown.
Well, the local pub in my village decided to run a drinks promotion. And every time I named the village live on air, they would give a free round of drink. So,
well, it's Tuesday night. What's the name of the town?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Dundrum. And so in Dundrum on a Friday night, you can imagine running that drinks promotion in any Irish village on a Friday night. So, I mean, the pub was packed. I mean, there was people that didn't even like me. I mean, my family turned up. I said, "Where are you watching?" They were, "We're watching in the pub."
Yeah.
So I kept them hanging for a wee while and didn't say Dundrum straight away. I think last count there was 14 free rounds.
Wow.
Wow. Well, we're 3 rounds in tonight,
yeah,
so
we're
we're
three rounds in tonight.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. But your sons gave you something really, really special, right? It's really cute.
Just before I went out, and you're thinking, you just got to hold this together, and because it meant a lot to me, Kat decided to send a present over because she was looking after the kids here in London, and she had gotten me this lucky 4-leaf clover with, there it is, with the boys. With the boys' handwriting there, "Good luck, luck," with the late, late love, Milo and James. And the lovely people at RTE decided just to present me with that on camera half an hour before I was due to go on in the makeup chair. So
Niagara Falls.
Makeup very much earned their money. that night. It was just... It was a mess.
It's really been quite a profound time for you, because there's another project coming out that took you back home to Ireland, your new film, Ballywalter, and you play an aspiring comedian, but I think this film is really going to surprise people. How would you describe it?
Ballywalter is about unexpected connections. It's the story of Eileen, who is a young girl whose dreams get crushed and she ends up back home, and my character is Shane. I think sometimes in life, the stuff that when you're rock bottom, you never really know sometimes who you're going to bump into or who's going to give you that helping hand, and it's a story of human connection. I mean, that was just incredible to act in.
It is a wonderful film. Let's have a little look at you in action, shall we?
Cracker day.
Tropical.
Listen, I'm going to be up and down here this next couple of weeks. Would I be able to book in advance?
I do have a life. You want to be a comedian?
Not really. Just like a wee course. Boing, boing. Take me somewhere else.
That's a spirit war.
Don't know, somewhere.
Let's get out of the city.
Did you bring me here to offer spiritual guidance?
Sometimes it's not all about you, Eileen. I wouldn't be here without you.
It looks so incredible. I mean, what was that first day on set like?
Terrifying. People talk about stand-up and people talk about, you know, I don't know how you do that, getting up in front of an audience with a microphone and all that sort of stuff. Walking out onto that set for the first day with all of those people who knew what they're doing. I hadn't acted before. They brought me into the makeup trailer, and Shane's character is meant to be this guy who's middle-aged, his life's on the skids, and he basically looks terrible because his life has gone downhill. And they set me into the makeup chair for it. It's called breakdown. Whenever they make up is when they try to make you look better, and breakdown's when they try to make you look worse to get into the character. So I sat in the makeup chair, and the makeup person just took one look at me and went, "Yeah, he's fine. That's him." That's him. Middle-aged life on the skids. You've nailed it. So,
It's a confidence boost, that, isn't
I
it?
mean, that was the confidence booster before I walked out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, it was worth it because it's the most sensational film. Congratulations. Patrick's film Ballywalter is released in cinemas on Friday, and his documentary 100 Years of Union is also still available to watch on iPlayer.
Yeah. Now the